Hello, everyone. Good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you are. I want to share something I was tapping into tonight. I was tapping into this collective energy. And so, this message may be for you, it may not be for you, but here's what I was feeling into. If you're experiencing this, please know there's nothing wrong with you. Here's what it is: there is a feeling that many of us are experiencing of being trapped, like we want to get out of our skin, that feeling of like, I need to get out of this, whatever this experience is that I'm having, I need out, and there's no way out. There's this feeling of suffocation, or I don't see an end to this. And it's very uncomfortable. It feels very out of control. You want to scream almost, right? Again, it's this feeling of, I just want out of my body. And it's intensifying this experience, very much like Groundhog Day. From the time you wake up until the time you go to bed, there is this feeling of being in some sort of simulation, perhaps. Is this really happening? Is this really my life? That kind of feeling. And if you aren't experiencing this, it's very possible that you may start to experience this later on down the road. And so for those of you that are feeling this right now, those of you that are experiencing this right now, first of all, there's nothing wrong with you. Again, you're moving through a massive collective shadow. And a lot of times when we start to move through a collective shadow, which means fear, greed, manipulation, mind control, coercion, propaganda, those types of things that we've been experiencing unconsciously for a very long time, we're now experiencing them consciously, whether you're aware of it or not. What tends to happen is we fall into these states of being out of control. We don't know what's coming next. We don't know what shoe is dropping next. We don't know how to navigate it. It's a very new way of being. We're pulling ourselves out of an old matrix. We're pulling ourselves out of an old way, okay? So it's normal what you're experiencing. The second thing is please have compassion for yourself, right? Compassion for what you're experiencing. Number 3, please try not to judge yourself, right? Judgment and criticism and those types of things only perpetuates it. Number 4, get it out. Speak to somebody about it, talk to somebody about it, journal about it, like just express it. Don't feel shame or guilt around anything you're experiencing, because again, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with what you're going through. There are probably millions that are going through what you're going through, but because we don't speak about it, we think we're the only ones. So the best thing that you can do on top of those 3 things is express it to somebody. Express it to yourself in the mirror, but be authentic, be raw, be vulnerable. Because when you start to do that, it literally, it's like it expresses out of you and it doesn't have as much control anymore. You start to allow it to deflate in a way, right? When we keep things inside and we don't express them, we don't acknowledge them, we ignore them, we deny them because of shame or guilt or whatever, it only festers, it only grows, it only gets louder, right? And heavier and more intense. So let it out. Tell your best friend, tell your partner, tell your parent, mom or dad, or whoever you're close to. Just get it out. And then the ball starts to roll, where it starts to express itself and it starts to deflate out of you. And what that does is, it doesn't mean that your situation changes, but you're capable of being able to surrender to it or accept it with a different lens. Your lens starts to change. You're no longer controlled by it, right? You are now allowing yourself to surrender into it. And from that surrendered state, you can navigate it very differently. You feel much more in control in a very strange way, right? So everything in my eyes about this matrix and this world we live in is inverted. So we think that we are in control, right? When we are trying not to express or feel, we're trying to control what we're feeling. We're trying to control how we express things. We judgment is a control as well, right? But as soon as we just surrender to it and let go and be out of control, that's the moment that you start to realize that you are in control, right? You realize that you are creating. You realize that you are choosing. But you have to be so raw and vulnerable. You have to trip and fall into the experience that you're having. Literally face plant into the experience, so up, so like splattered that you can't deny or ignore what it is you're going through. And from that place, from that deep state of surrender, that all is okay what I'm experiencing, that is when you consciously choose, create, and are in control of your reality. I hope that makes sense. Nothing wrong with what you're going through. It's going to feel very much like the walls are caving in, perhaps, and there's no way out, right? A lot of feeling being out of control, not know when the next shoe is going to drop, that kind of thing. So be gentle with yourself, no judgment. Remember that you're not the only one going through this, right? And start to express it authentically, raw, vulnerable. I love you. Thanks for being here. You're not alone, my friend.